going on, everybody? Hey, happy Labor Day weekend. It's still Labor Day. Labor Day weekend, that is. Sunday, September the 5th, 2021, 4:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know what you might be thinking. Dave, you're on again. It's the long weekend. I have a little bit of time. There's moments where I don't have time, and then there's moments where I'm like, oh, maybe I should jump on. It's because I know things have been sparse over the last couple of weeks. Been taking some time off. Been working on a couple of exciting things. Hopefully I'll be able to share with you guys soon. So I know the shows have been fragmented and kind of strange, and they might be that way over the next little bit. So I just want to jump on when I find an opportunity to do it, let you guys know I'm still here, and if there's something I want to talk about. This is interesting. I want to talk about this today because, the world premiere of Halloween Kills is this Wednesday, September the 8th, 2021 at the Venice Film Festival in Venice, Italy. Shout out to my uncle Graham, who lives in Italy. He's lived in Italy for decades. My mother, for those of you that don't know, was born in England in 1944. She came to Canada in 1956 when she was 12 years old. And of course, her brothers came with her, obviously, because they were all around the same age. And they were here for a little bit. My uncle Doug is still here in Canada and has remained in Canada. My uncle Graham, my mother's other brother, went back to Europe I don't know when it was. I know my uncle Doug sometimes tunes into my shows, so if he happens to be watching the show, let me know, Doug. I think it was it the late 60s or early 70s, maybe? My uncle Graham went back to Italy. He's been there for years. And, or went back to Europe and then decided to settle in Italy. And he's been there for years and years. He can speak like 4 different languages. He's fucking amazing. Both my uncles are amazing. I mean, I have a lot of uncles, but my mother's brothers are amazing. And so anyway, yes, the Venice Film Festival in Italy. I've never been to Europe. I'd love to go because obviously I have roots there. But is this Wednesday. Well, I mean, it's on right now, but Halloween Kills, I believe it's on right now. But the Halloween Kills portion is, or part, I should say, is this Wednesday, September the 8th. Yeah, that's right, September the 8th. It's been a crazy couple of weeks, folks. And, it is my understanding that that Halloween Kills is going to be shown more than once. Quite a bit more than once is what I'm hearing. So the probability of things... Now, look, if you've read the Halloween Kills script, which is out there, then you pretty much kind of know how it goes anyway. I have read the script. I know a couple of people that have actually seen the film. They haven't divulged, because they're honoring their NDAs. They have, you can say that you've seen it. That's generally not... Well, it depends. Every NDA is different. I've signed many NDAs in my life as it relates to voiceover. And it's always important that, if you do have to sign an NDA, that you read sort of the fine print and to make sure, is this just an NDA saying I can't talk about, like I can't discuss that I'm even part of the project? Do you know what I mean? Because some NDAs are like, you can't even tell anybody you're even fucking involved. Do you know what I mean? You got to play dumb for like however long you have to play dumb for. And then sometimes you can tell people you're involved, but you just can't talk about the nitty gritty stuff. So not every NDA is painted with the same brush. And of course, NDAs can be different as it relates to people who are in the production as opposed to people who've seen the production, right? So that can be different as well. The 2 people that I've talked to who have seen it have not given me any details on it. Because they've signed NDAs, but I think it's the kind of NDA that you can say, yeah, I've seen it, but I can't tell you what's in it. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of thing. But if you've read the script, you have sort of a basic idea of what to expect at the very least. And this sucker is ready to be unleashed to the world this Wednesday. And I remember, it was almost a year ago to the day. Was it a year ago to the day? No, it couldn't have been. Couldn't have been. Pretty close, though. A year ago to the day. Jesus, I'm having major brain farts. 3 years ago to the day. It's hard to believe. 3 years ago, September 2018, I was at TIFF, the Toronto International Film Festival, one of the most prestigious film festivals in the world. And myself and my buddy Bruce, who you guys know, we were able to get tickets thanks to a fellow industry colleague, I guess, of ours, I guess. I don't know. Colleague sounds so weird. But anyway, somebody we know, obviously, who was able to get us really good seats. We were like maybe, I don't know, 6 rows from the stage, because where the screening was of course was in like a theater where you'd watch like a stage play. But of course they have a screen there as well. Really awesome stuff. If you've never seen my coverage of the 2018 world premiere of Halloween at TIFF in Toronto, it is on my channel. Just YouTube Dave McRae Halloween world premiere. It will come up. It's like a 20-minute video. I think it's something like that. And it's like, we're there. We're absolutely there. You get to see the red carpet, Jamie Lee Curtis, everything. We walk right by them. We're involved. You know what I mean? It was great. It was great. It was a lot of fun. So check it out. Like it's cool stuff. It'll give you kind of some insight into what the world premiere was like. But anyway, the world premiere for Halloween Kills is this Wednesday, and it's in Venice, Italy at the Venice Film Festival. And, you know, there's no doubt, because this is going to be shown multiple times. See, at TIFF, I believe it was just shown, well, it was shown twice, I think, actually. It was in 2 different theaters at the same time, but it was just shown once on one day. This is very different, at least from what I remember. This is very, very different, so I'm hearing. So the probability, because there's going to be multiple screenings, as far as I know, although I do stand to be corrected. 103178 production says, Dave McRae, the leaked script is fake. The leaked script is, well, it depends on which script you're talking about. I've read the script. I know people have seen the movie, and it's not fake. Let me just tell you that. There's certain things I know that are in the movie that are also in this script. So there were some leaked fake ones going around. So it's entirely possible that you may have read or got your hands on one that was not real. But I can assure you the one that I read is real. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that is in the script that I read is like every single thing is going to transpire on the screen, right? I mean, things can change a bit, but the one that I read is legit. So there's a high probability that there's going to be spoilers, right? Spoilers. And, you know, the war on spoilers, you cannot eliminate them. People have to understand that you cannot eliminate spoilers. It is just a fact of the free flow of information that is the internet. Now, there are people out there that can be courteous and that can be kind and don't want to spoil it for other people. When I saw Halloween 2018 at the world premiere in Toronto, it was about 6 weeks before the actual release of the movie. About 6 weeks before the actual release of the movie. And if you've been following me for that long, you know that I said fuck all. I said nothing. Literally nothing. And there were quite a few people, to my surprise, there were quite a few people. Just my phone. Let me just put my phone on silent while I'm doing this. To my surprise, there were quite a few people. I mean, most weren't, but there were enough that were angry that I wasn't talking about it. That I was still doing videos talking about the hype and stuff and getting you guys excited, but they were pissed off that I wasn't spoiling it. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like, you got 6 weeks. I'm not gonna, I want your first experience to be like mine. When I walked into the world premiere, I had no idea what to expect, except from the trailers, of course, right? But I had no idea what to expect. I want you to have that same experience. Unbelievable. But you cannot avoid spoilers because there's fucking idiots out there. And when you are talking about the game of social media, okay, and it's a game, all right, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok, whether it's Twitch, I don't know. I'm not on Twitch. I'm not on TikTok. But, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube. And I can tell you, it is about clicks. It is about views. It is about follows. It is about likes. That's what it's about. Especially when you're of a certain age. I mean, if you're 42 like me, you couldn't give a frog's fat ass about that shit. But if you are of a certain age, if you grew up in the digital age and you really care about that stuff, that's what it's about. And if you have a piece of information that nobody else has, or that, a few people have, but that's why you see certain Facebook groups or Twitter, not channels, pages, I guess, release shit, because they take that risk. They know they're going to get backlash, but the risk is worth it, right? The risk is worth it, because the alternative, or the idea of getting so many views or so many subscribers or so many likes and follows and eyeballs on your post is worth it, because with the bad will come the good, because there will always be, some people that are going to go, oh, this is amazing. Like, subscribe, hit follow, like whatever. Right. And they take that risk. They really don't care at the end of the day. It's about getting eyeballs and follows, because that's what the game is. That's what the social media game is. So it's important that you cannot avoid it. You cannot avoid spoilers. It is impossible, unless you are not on social media at all, which, let's face it, nobody watching this video right now is not on social media anywhere. I mean, some of you might be, right? But if you are a hardcore Halloween fan, if you are a diehard Halloween fan, you are, you're connected. Right? You're on the Facebook pages, you're on the Twitter pages, you're on, the YouTube pages, you're on the Instagram page, whatever, wherever you follow. I don't even know. There's probably other shit out there I'm not even aware of. You follow a ton of people. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I mean, there's some people that don't, but I'm specifically talking to those who are neck deep in this stuff, right? There's nothing wrong with complaining about it. We can all complain. Okay. But it's going to happen, because the world's just full of fucking idiots. And not everybody who leaks something or does something is, a fucking idiot or a moron. Sometimes they're good people, but they get caught up in the game. It's a game. They want the likes, the views, and they take that risk. They take the risk in spoiling it for everybody, just so they can get the notoriety or the eyeballs on their page, because it's going to translate into likes and follows and subs, from somebody. And sometimes it can be quite a bit, depending on how in demand it is. And there's a huge portion of the population out there that doesn't think like me. Like when I got all upset that the trailer leaked 7 days before it was supposed to be released, I got pretty upset, because it was the principle of it, right? I was like, it leaks from a theater manager, not the video. I don't think the video did, but the first images we saw, I'm like I just found it ironic that it comes from a theater manager who's supposed to have taken, an unofficial sort of unspoken oath, to protect the footage and the films that are coming into your theater, and, release them on the appropriate dates and not allow Jim, Bob, and Steve to take I mean, yeah, listen, if you have a movie or a trailer that is early and you want to show your buddy or whatever, I get it. Yeah, hey, psst, come on in here, look at this trailer. Totally get it. That's the perks of knowing the manager, right? I get that shit. But you don't take photos and post it online. You know what I mean? Anyway, I just thought it was ironic, because it was coming from somebody who should know better. But the world is full of people that are like this. It's going to happen, because the internet allows it. You cannot stop it. You can do things to mitigate it. You can do things to kind of, the studios can do a lot more to try and sort of limit that. But at the end of the day, if somebody gets their hand on a script or a photo or whatever, and especially if you're working at a certain level, it's money. Right? I mean, it's money. If you're working at a certain level, like, if you're neck deep into the paparazzi sort of level and shit, and you're taking photos of fucking shit, I mean, that's been around for decades, right? That goes way back to the golden age, right? It's just evolved, right? Social media is just the evolution of that, right? I'm not saying everybody who leaks shit gets money, but there's a certain point where there is that does happen, depending on who you are and how heavily involved you are in the game. So spoilers are unavoidable really at the end of the day. And if you truly care about not being spoiled, then I have some advice for you, but you have to do it. You can't just say you're going to do it. You have to do it. And even then, it's not a guarantee, but it's certainly going to limit the probability, right? But at the same time, we need to recognize that not everybody, what is and what isn't a spoiler to a lot of people is very different. It's very different. People's threshold of what a spoiler is very, very different. It's very different. Yeah, that's right. Darren Sand says the trailer didn't leak. It was stolen. Good point. Very good point. Very good point. That's a very, very good point. I agree with that, actually. So, what I think is a spoiler, you may not. What you think is a spoiler, I may not. It's not an exact science. It's very, very subjective. Okay. So there's that too. I mean, I could be part of like 10 pages and read 500 things about the movie and don't consider it a spoiler at all. Whereas somebody, knowing that Michael's shoelaces are brown is a spoiler. You know what I mean? I've talked about this before on the channel. So you probably already know this, but I just think it's, we're only a few days away from the world premiere. I think maybe for those of you that are sensitive to spoilers, because that's who I'm really talking to, right? I mean, if you're like me and, you can read the script and totally go in and have a great time, then you can not bother. I'm not talking to you, right? I'm talking to the people that are really sensitive to anything. Even the slightest little thing, the slightest, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying that you're lesser than me or I'm better than you or whatever. It's all subjective on how we feel about the information that is relayed to us, right? Some people just cannot know anything. It ruins everything. It ruins their entire experience. And then there's people like me who can read the fucking script and go in and have a great time. You know what I mean? So it's very subjective. So here's what you need to do. You don't need to delete the pages. Let's take Facebook, for example. You probably already know this, but I just want to remind you. Facebook has a little thing, but you have to do it. If you are truly worried about spoilers, you have to do it. And if you don't do it because you can't, because you're too obsessed with the pages you're on, because you're addicted, well, then you have nobody to blame but yourself. Facebook does offer the ability to mute certain pages for 30 days. You can do that. You don't have to unlike, you don't have to unfollow. You can just say, you know what? I don't want to see any posts from this group, that group, and this group for 30 days. I don't want to. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go for the whole 30 days. I mean, maybe you just, because I think that's the only option. I think you might be able to actually stop that prematurely, if I'm not mistaken. But starting this Wednesday, all the Michael Myers Facebook groups that you're a part of, all the heavy Halloween Facebook groups that you're a part of, or the horror movie Facebook group, whatever, mute them for 30 days. Now, again, that doesn't mean you have to go for 30 days, mute them for 30 days, and then check in like a couple of weeks. Go to the page and check in and see kind of what it's like. That's one way to do it. If there's somebody on your feed that you follow, now you can continue to follow me because you know that I don't spoil shit. Hello, Halloween 18, I didn't speak for 6 weeks. But if you do follow certain people, and I don't know who these people are, because there really isn't anybody that I follow either that I think spoil shit. But there may be certain people that you follow that you need to mute for 30 days. You don't have to unfriend them. You just know that they're a bit of a yabber, right? I mean, that's it. They're really nice. Bob's cool. I love Bob, but Bob's a little bit of a, Bob's kind of like this. So you just mute Bob for 30 days. Again, you don't have to do it the whole thing, but just a week, a couple of weeks, check in with Bob, see what he's kind of go down the page a little bit with one eye and kind of, see what he's posting. That's what you got to do. But you've got to do it. You've got to do it. If you truly are that sensitive to spoilers. Because if Halloween Kills, and from everything I'm hearing, is playing multiple times at this film festival, that just ups the probability that shit's going to get leaked. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Same with Twitter. If there's pages you follow. Now, I know the pages that I'm talking, and again, I'm not talking about anybody or any specific page, because to be honest with you, I really don't follow a lot of pages. Okay. I got to be honest with you. I think there's like 2 pages that I follow. But I know some of you are like following a shit ton of people, right? You got to mute them. It's not personal. It's just like, hey, dude, you tend to post a lot of shit. I noticed you spoiled the trailer, so I'm just going to mute you for 30 days. But you got to do it. Twitter has the ability to do that. Facebook has the ability to do that. I'm sure Instagram does. It's owned by Facebook now. I'm sure Instagram does. Maybe you got to do it. You're unlikely to see spoilers from anybody official like Blumhouse or Universal or HalloweenMovies.com or, what, like anything official from the film or the studio, you're unlikely to see spoilers. But if you follow, little Jimmy, who's a big Halloween fan and he's really, overzealous and gets excited, and you notice that he posts everything and he was one of the first to post those leaked images from the trailer, then maybe you got to go, Jimmy, I got to just mute you for a while. You know what I mean? That's my recommendation for you. I think it's, I think you need to do it, because it's important that you give yourself that opportunity. That doesn't mean that you're not going to see spoilers, right? That doesn't mean that, right? Yeah. Little Jimmy, little Timmy, little Bobby. Those are like names I always say. Jimmy, Bobby, Timmy, Billy. Hey, Billy. Yeah. I'm not talking about anybody specific. They're just names. You could put in Jimmy, Timmy, Bobby, Marty. Back to the Future. But whatever it is, right? Like whoever you follow, like I can't think of anybody that I follow that does that. Whether it's like, they don't. Drum Dums doesn't do it. Jimmy Champagne doesn't do it. Cody Leach certainly doesn't do it. The guys at Wham don't do it. Like there's nobody, like sort of the bigger people in our space, they don't do it. So you could probably continue to follow them. I mean, it's not a big deal, right? Because they don't do it at all. I'm talking about sort of the Facebook fan pages. Do you know what I mean? And the Halloween fan pages and the horror fan pages and the fan groups and all that kind of stuff, especially if it's an open forum, because then you're not reliant, like on my Facebook page, Many Things Dave McRae, I'm the only one that can post on it, right? But there are some fan pages, which are great, they're awesome, but it's like a group page where anybody can post. And then you have to rely on the moderators and the admins to remove shit that might be spoilery, right? But then, one admin might think it's a spoiler and the other admin may not, you know what I mean? And then you run into that sort of dichotomy as well. I think it's important that maybe you stay away from the open forum group pages, because you don't know who's going to be fucking posting shit on there. You know what I mean? You just gotta be careful. That's all. But you gotta do it. I know it sounds like a lot of work, or it sounds like, I think most people know about this. They can mute people and mute shit and mute certain people that might, yabba. I'm sure they know about this, but people probably don't, because they either feel bad, like somehow they're disconnecting from what they love, or you're not. You're just muting it for like a couple of weeks while you fucking let the tidal wave go by, and because things are going to be hot, starting this Wednesday and for like the next following week, things are going to be hot. You know what I'm saying? Shit's going to be coming. I mean, look out. You got to be mindful. If you see something that says Halloween Kills, Venice Film Festival, spoiler alert, have some fucking self-control, unless you don't care. Again, I'm really talking to the people that really care about this stuff. They can't hear anything And it's a spectrum, right? You get people like me that for the most part, I can hear pretty much anything and still enjoy the film like I don't know anything. It's just who I am. It's always been who I am. Maybe it's, like I said, maybe it's the lens that I look through. You know, it's just who I am. And there's people that are like me as well. I know Bruce, I think, is like that too. Is it because we're filmmakers? Is it because we work in the industry? Is it because of just how we were as kids? Could be a combination of everything. I have no idea. But there's certain things, obviously. I mean, we're not immune to it. There's certain spoilers that I would consider like major, that I would like, oh, I definitely don't want to know that. Do you know what I mean? But then there's, you know, there's us, and then there's people all the way on the other side of the, you know, the line where like you mention fucking, you know, like I said, like the color of his shoelaces, and it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So, and then there's everybody in between. So you have to think, what kind of a person, what kind of a fan am I? What is my threshold to spoilers? And what do I need to do for myself? Maybe I don't need to mute anybody. Maybe I don't need to mute any pages. Maybe I don't at all. You know what I mean? Like me. Or maybe you are somebody that you are the first in line to be like, no. Oh, I'm just saying, think about where you saw it. Think about all the pages you're a part of, and mute starting this Wednesday. It might be in your best interest if you truly care about not being spoiled, and you actually have some willpower, and you can, you know, actually do it. I don't know if you'll be able to do it. But that would be my advice. That would be my advice, especially the Halloween-centric pages. You know what I mean? Whether it's a horror page that is very Halloween-centric, or whether it's a Halloween page, or whatever it is, that's my advice. That's my advice. Mute for 30 days. Again, you don't have to mute it, but I think that's the only option. And then, you know, you hit that, and then wait a week or two, and then, you know, check it out. But I have a feeling there's a lot of people that probably can't do that. I have a feeling there's a lot of people that probably can't do that. That just don't have the willpower to do it. So we shall see. We shall see. Anyway, let's go over to the chat room for a little bit and see what you guys are saying. You got any questions? You got any? I think a super chat did come in, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Looks like I'm gonna have to go to. I don't know why they disappear from the studio. So I actually have to go into the studio and go to monetization, go to super chats, because I know one did come in. And it came in, two came in actually. One from Matthew Feresi, $1.99. Thank you, buddy. Says, for the return of Dave McRae. Yeah, well, I'm going to be kind of sparsely around for the next little bit as we rearrange a few things, but I'm desperately trying to like take advantage of moments. So appreciate that, Matthew. Thank you. Robert Kitzmiller sends in $5, says, glad live shows are back. Forensic investigators or homicide detective, which one could you see yourself more interested in pursuing? Oh, probably homicide detective. The mystery aspect of it. Yeah, the forensic aspect is a little too sciencey for me. But the actual investigation of the murder, piecing clues together and things like that, I could see myself doing that. And not that there isn't a science to that, but I could see myself doing that for sure. Okay. Yeah. So, hey, and if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know, what kind of person are you? Are you somebody that can pretty much, you know, I mean, within reason, you can pretty much know everything and it's just not a spoiler. You just, your threshold of what a spoiler is really sort of strong, you know, or are you somebody that just, you can hardly know anything, or maybe you're in between? Comment below and let me know your thoughts if you're watching after the fact, and let me know. I'd love to know. And let me know if you feel comfortable what you're going to do. Are you going to do that? Will you have the willpower to sort of mute, you know, not everybody, but mute certain kind of targeted, certain people, certain pages that maybe you notice are quite spoilery, right? And it may not even be the fault, like I said, that's why I said it may not even be the fault of the admins or the creator of the page. It may be the fault that it's an open page and they have like 10,000 followers, so everybody can just, you know, say whatever they want. And then you have to rely on the mods, right? Like maybe it's in your best interest to kind of go, I'm just going to mute that for a week. I don't want to know anything. And I want to let sort of the fuel die down a bit before I, kind of see what's going on. Let me know your thoughts. Diamond Rattler sends in $5. Boom, says Diamond Rattler. Thank you, Diamond Rattler. Really appreciate that. Jonathan Grant says, the people that can't do that will complain about the spoilers. Well, that's why I wanted to jump on here and do this video, because I wanted people to understand that it's going to happen. It is unavoidable. It is unavoidable. I wish it wouldn't happen, but it's going to happen. Are there things that studios can do that can limit it? Yes, definitely. Do some studios and some festivals are better at it than others. But there are things that we can do now too. We have to take responsibility for ourselves. Yes, maybe it shouldn't be this way, but it is. It is this way. So we either can huff and puff and complain, or we can do certain things about it, and that's why I wanted to give a bit of that advice where it's like, hey, here's some advice. Do this, do this, do this, do this. It's not, it's not ironclad, but it definitely will probably help. I mean, if you have if you're not seeing on your Facebook or on your Twitter or your Instagram pages that are likely to spoil shit, well, then you're likely not to see it. You know what I mean? Again, it's not ironclad, but it's some advice that I think may help. All right, what do we else? Who else? Alex Royster says, I don't care about spoilers. I just stay away from social media, which I don't have. Good for you. I only have YouTube now, and usually during the time the movie is released, I don't look at YouTube until I see it. That's great, man. That's awesome. That's one way to do it too. There's definitely people out there that do not have social media, and they don't have to worry about Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or what have you. But there's a lot of people that do, and you already know. Like I said, thankfully there's nobody in the horror Halloween space of any sort of prominence, that would do that. So you don't have to worry about me. You don't have to worry about Wham. You don't have to worry about Champagne, Wolfman's Got Nards, whatever. Right? Like you don't have to worry about us. You know what I mean? Doing that. And there's a few others as well. But you already know. For those of you that are following 60 pages, obviously not literally, but you know what I mean, right? You already know the pages that do this. You know the pages that let things slide. Well, mute them for 30 days. That's my advice. Or you're going to, but because then it's like, then at least you feel good. I've taken care of it. You don't have to stay off social media altogether. You just have to target certain areas that you think may be a problem with leaky stuff. That's all I'm saying. Darren Sand says, people can be incredibly precious about spoilers. People just need to use their common sense. Agreed. And that's why I think it's so important. Those little things there, like muting page, whatever, it's there for us to use. It's there for us to use. Now, it's likely there to use, probably not for spoilers. It was probably created to just because you didn't want to see people's posts or something, but you didn't want them to know that you unfriended or you didn't I don't know, whatever it is, right? But it's there. Take advantage of it. You don't have to unfollow. You don't have to unlike. You can be back in business on their page full time in a couple of weeks, and they're not any the wiser. They wouldn't know that that you muted them for a bit. All right. What else we got going on here? Did I miss any other super chats? I think there were 3, right? There was Diamond Rattler. I got that. And then I got the other one, or I got the other 2. Okay. Just want to make sure I am not. Okay. The horror counselor says, Dave, as we get closer to Scream and Scream 5, do you think, where are we here? Do you think we might see your idea, the real Ghostface, actually happen in the movie, or will they go back to the same formula they've always used? I don't know. That's a good question. For those of you that don't know what the horror counselor is talking about, I had an idea. I think even Cecil Laird from the horror show may have had the same idea. And we didn't even compare notes. We just kind of both thought of this. Anyway, the idea that I had a long time ago was, and much to the chagrin of a lot of Scream fans, because it's breaking with tradition, I get it. but that, and this was before we kind of knew a lot. Well, we don't know a lot of details, but more details than we know now. Less details than we know now, I should say. I had this idea that how cool would it be if Scream 5 it presented the real Ghostface? Because every Scream movie, Ghostface is not one person. Ghostface is more of a symbol. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, there's multiple people that have donned the costume and the mask and, you know, whatever. And that's cool. I mean, that was part of the identity, and that's cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I was like, how cool would it be to throw kind of like a twist in there where there really is a guy, and the guy that you've heard for all those movies, like on the voice changer. I know in Scream 1 and a couple of movies, they show you how it's the hello, Sydney, you know, and they have it in whatever. I get it that they imply that it is them with the voice changer. I get that. But come on, it's fucking making movies. It's Hollywood. You could figure out, you could totally figure it out to justify it. But I was just thinking, how cool would it be is if the guy on the phone was never any of the killers. He was never the ghost face that you see doing the killing, even though you're supposed to think that. There actually is a guy, there always has been a guy pulling the strings, you know, from some place or whatever, and that's his voice. And in this movie, he comes forward. You know what I mean? And now it's no longer fucking like, you know, Ghostface tripping over furniture and shit like some klutz in some I Love Lucy episode. No, this is like fucking, you know, this is like it's more serious. He knows his shit. He's not a klutz. He's something to be feared. Now, does it change a bit of the DNA of the approach? It does a little bit. So I understand that maybe that's probably why they wouldn't do it. So anyway, I don't think that's what they're going to do. And Sydney is back, and Sydney comes face to face with the real Ghostface, right? You know what I mean? After all these years, hello, Sydney. You know, it's no longer these dweebs, these nerdy high school kids doing the fucking dirty work. It's like the real shit now, you know? I always thought that would have been cool, you know, an interesting fresh take. But then again, I'm not a diehard Scream fan. So, you know, I know there were a lot of Scream fans out there that didn't like that idea. Do I think that's what they're going to do? No, I don't, because I think it's too risky. At least in this first installment, I don't think they're going to do that. No, I think it's just going to be another high school kid or whatever. Ralph Nunez sends in $4.99. Thank you, Ralph. Says, can't wait to see Kills at the movie theater. They have been empty. I went to see Myers on the big screen. I want to see Myers on the big screen. I live in New York. I will definitely mute heavy spoiler. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. You know, and you don't have to, you know, you don't have to mute everybody. You just have to look at your social media and say, hey, you know, you know, and if there's Halloween pages that you're a part of that don't do that, well, then don't mute them. Just think about, are there pages that leak a lot of shit, or that don't care about leaks, or, you know, whatever, that thrive off of that stuff? Well, then maybe it's best to mute them for a week or two. That's all I'm saying. There are things you can do. It doesn't mean that you're not going to see spoilers. It doesn't mean you're not going to be privy to it by some other means, right? There's a crack and it gets through. But there are things that you can do to help limit it. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't have to be, you know, scrolling social media completely naked. Do you know what I mean? There are certain things you can do. But, you know, whether people actually have the willpower to do it, I don't know. We'll see. What else we got here? Apollo Balboa 1985 says, Dave, is it a sad commentary that actors have to rely on old work to stay relevant? Danielle Harris comes to mind. She is living off her H4 and H5 fame. Why not just land new roles? Well, I think that's easier said than done. I think it's important to remember that, you know, when you work in the entertainment industry as an actor, you know, you largely have no control over well, I can't say that. You do to a point. But, you know, there's so many variables at play of why certain actors achieve certain levels of fame and success, and continually do so, I should say, and certain actors don't. You know, sometimes and I'm not talking about Danielle here specifically. I'm just talking about in general, right? You used her as an example. Now I'm talking about it in a general sense. Some actors are just not that good. You know, I mean, that's just the nature of the business. I mean, some actors are just, you know, serviceable, and they do their jobs well. We also have to remember that in the case of Danielle, she was a child actress first. And if you know anything about Hollywood, the probability of making that transition from a successful child actor into a equally or even more successful adult actor, where you are like leads in you know, mainstream films, is very slim. It does happen. It can happen, but it's not the norm. Making that transition from child actor to adult actor is very, very difficult. You know, who your agent is, who your manager is, who your publicist is, right? You know, do you have the right representation? Are they representing you correctly? Are they fighting for you? Are they getting you, you know, the right opportunities? You know, agents don't, you know, because, you know, remember, it's agents don't get, well, again, it's not black and white, but generally speaking, agents don't get actors' roles. They get them the opportunities, right? It's up to the actor to land the role through the audition. And there's a difference between an agent and a manager and a publicist. And, you know, and sometimes they just don't have the right people around them, you know? And so it's not easy to maintain that level of success. I mean, you could even say the same thing about Robert Englund, you know? I mean, Robert Englund is a character actor, had gigantic fame as one of the most iconic horror villains of all time in cinematic history. That's his claim to fame. And yes, he was cast in Stranger Things, no doubt about it, right? But why was he cast in Stranger Things? Well, because Stranger Things is an homage to 1980s pop culture, and it's a horror, thriller, supernatural themed show. And who better to get in there than one of the most iconic icons of the 80s in the world of horror, supernatural, and thriller, Robert Englund, right? It's not that they got Robert Englund because Robert Englund is still a huge name and a big, you know what I mean? Right? There's reasons why. Has Robert Englund gone off to do other films? He has. He's a character actor. He will tell you that first. I mean, he'll admit that. He was a character actor who just happened to land a huge role. You know, there's just, it's just part of the business. You know, Danielle Harris is not the only one. Robert Englund certainly is not the only one. All those horror, you know, 80s icons you see at the conventions are not the only ones. There's a lot of actors and actresses and performers that for whatever reason, their careers hit a certain level, plateaued, and never went beyond. And there's a number of reasons why that could be. It is not because they're not a good actor or couldn't do a good job. I mean, Danielle Harris had a very small role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You know, she was pregnant, very pregnant in that movie. You know, and kudos to her. I think that's amazing, right? She's got another film coming out now. Has she lived most of her career in the B horror movie subgenre? Sure. But there's a number of reasons. Sometimes there are actors that just don't want to be a part of the fucking bullshit that is Hollywood. And they're like, you know what? I just want to do what I love. I want to get paid to do it. I'm comfortable here. I'm happy here. I don't want to be part of the fucking bullshit and the grind and the fakery and the, you know, all, and I just want to do this, you know? There's a variety of reasons. I don't know. I mean, Danielle is certainly not untalented, if that's even a word. I mean, she's certainly talented. She, you know, in every role I've seen her in, she does a good job. I wouldn't necessarily think she's Meryl Streep, but certainly she's serviceable, but not in a one-dimensional way. I mean, she's fine. You know, she's talented. But there's a number of reasons why she may decide, I don't know who her rep is, actually. I don't know if she's rep by one of the big agencies like CAA or William Morris Endeavor, or if she's represented by one of sort of maybe more of a boutique agency. I don't know. But, yeah, there's a number of reasons, man. There's a number of reasons. One of which could be that they're just not that talented. But there's like 75,000 other reasons. Do you know what I mean? So keep those things in mind. Super chat comes in from where Nomad has gone before. I love that. $5. Thank you. Every time they leak spoilers, they transcend. Yeah, they transcend into madness. Madness. That's right. Darren Sand says Robert Englund, Road Sweeper, made good. Yeah, Road Sweeper. Yeah, and also too, Robert Englund's been in a lot of stuff. He's that character actor that pops up in those, generally speaking, B horror movies, but he's still working. But he's never achieved the same level of fame and success that he did as Freddy Krueger, right? Do you know what I mean? And I think he's okay with that. Right? Because like I said, he himself will tell you first and foremost, I'm a character actor. I'm not a leading man. I'm not listen, no character actor would ever turn down the opportunity to star in a movie that had a big theatrical release and, whatever, right? But he'd be the first to tell you, I'm a character actor that just happened to land a gigantic role, but that's what he'll always be known for. And that's okay. I mean, he's done very well for himself and he's great. And I can't wait to see him in Stranger Things. I can't wait. And he's the perfect guy. Like, he's perfect for that. You know what I mean? Like, that's like when you're doing a television show that is a 1980s homage to supernatural horror pop culture, you got to get Robert Englund in there. You know what I mean? Like, hello, Absolutely. All right. Did I miss any other super chats? Diamond Rattler sends in another. I think this is another one, right? $5 says, is it fair to say that Michael will make it to Halloween Ends? Oh, for sure. Of course. Yes, I think that is pretty self-explanatory. Michael Myers is going to make it to Halloween Ends. I don't believe that you're going to see Michael Myers die in this movie. Dave, that's a spoiler. Oh, come on. It is not. Come on. But there are people out there. That would think that it was good. Darren Sand says, Englund was good in V. Yes, V was, I was very young. I was very, very young. Like 2 or something, but, or even 1. When was V? V was early 80s, right? Late 70s, early. I was born in 79, so it was 8. Yeah, I was probably like 2. That's me. But he was in that. I've never seen V, though. I've seen clips. I've seen clips of him in V, but I've never actually watched the show. Yes, Diamond, I got your super chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, let me just go over here. As a fair yes, got that. Canton, boom. Yes. Okay, good. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Just want to make sure I am not missing anybody. Okay, what else we got going on here? Let's see here. Craig Roth says Killer Pad. He directed that one, Killer Pad. Robert Englund, did he direct a movie called Killer Pad? I didn't know that. That's awesome. I've never heard of it. Have to check it out. Eric Brew looks French. Is that how you say that? Or child actors? Jake Lloyd, yeah, become too scared from the hate mail and have to call it quits on acting and head to therapy. Yeah, that's true too, Erica. That is an unfortunate thing. I mean, and then there are many child actors that get into the drugs and and there's an example of a lot of child actors who have died because of drugs or suicide, overdose, you name it. There's a lot of them out there. It's a very tough business for children. If you want your kid to be in, a Tide commercial, a Walmart commercial, because there's levels, right? If your kid is dabbling in it and it's kind of fun and they're going on, auditions, we're not talking about like this, like major shit, right? We're talking about like, commercials and, little thing like that. It can be fun, right? It can be fun. It's competitive too, but it can be fun. But when we're talking about like neck deep into Hollywood, Hollywood can be an amazing place for sure, but it can be as equally as vicious and vile and competitive and fake and phony. Trust me. Trust me. Trust me. Fake and phony. And there's a lot of that there. There's a lot of it. And it can be a very toxic, unforgiving place for kids. Now, there are certain kids that make it through, but it all depends on a number of factors. And one of those things can be the support system you have around you, the parents you have. I mean, look at how many, actors, singers, look at Britney Spears, for Christ's sakes. Look at Macaulay Culkin, right? If you have vicious parents that are just essentially using you, exploiting you, that's child abuse. First and foremost, that is fucking child abuse. And they're exploiting you for their own gains. And, just, what I'm talking about, right? A child at that age is only as successful as the support system they have around them. And if their parents are fucking pieces of crap, which a lot of child stars' parents are and have been, then it's no wonder they end up fucked up, on drugs, or, dead. You know what I mean? It's an awful place. And there are some that make it through. There's some that make it through. Absolutely. Right. Look at Elijah Wood, now Elijah Wood has not gone on to become like some A-list star, but he's still working. He's still a name, and he was a brilliant child actor. I don't know what his parents were like. I don't know what his support system was like. I don't know who his managers were or his agent or publicist, even at a young age. I don't know the dynamics of that. But I think it's safe to say that it's probably was a lot better than the shit that Macaulay Culkin was going through. Do you know what I mean? The Good Son, by the way. If you guys haven't seen The Good Son starring Macaulay Culkin and Elijah Wood, one of my favorite thrillers of all time. Fucking amazing movie. It's great shit. But yeah, you're not wrong, Erica. It's a tough place. It's a vicious, tough place for kids. Diamond, was that new, Diamond? Did you send that one? Yeah, you did. Diamond Rattler sends another $5. Thank you. Says, would it surprise you if Michael dies in Kills? Yes, it would, because of what I know. It definitely would surprise me. Rad7 sends in $4.99 and says, hey, Dave. Thank you, buddy. We're almost a month away. Caught the stream late. No worries at all. Yep, essentially a month away. And the world premiere, in case you're just tuning in, the world premiere for Halloween Kills is this coming Wednesday, September 8th, 2021 in Venice, Italy. And my advice to all of you out there who want to avoid spoilers, you are very sensitive to spoilers, right? Because some people are, some people aren't. Mute the people and pages you think are problematic for at least a couple of weeks. Facebook, Twitter, they give you this opportunity. You can do this. Take advantage of it, right? I'd be surprised if people were muting me because unless you just don't want to see my ugly face and hear my voice. There are certain people that you don't have to worry about, right? But and you know who they are. Whatever page you're a part of, whatever person you follow, you know who the problematic people are that you're like, I might have to fucking mute little Timmy. You know what I mean? I think I got to mute Timmy here. I love Timmy. He's amazing, but he's a bit of a blabbermouth and he gets his hands on some shit and he's likely to spoil it. So I'm just going to mute Timmy for a couple of weeks. Do that. It's important you do it. Take ownership of it as well, right? Because it's the internet, man. It's the internet. There are people out there that will not do it. If I had my hands on, listen, I know a lot about what happens in the film. And I haven't talked about it at all, because I for a number of reasons, but it's because I don't want to, tell you anything, right? I want to have that kind of respect, give you that kind of respect, I should say. Thank you. And then Rad7. Oh, wait, no, I already read that one. Rad7, I read that one. Thank you very much for the super chats, ladies and germs. Really appreciate it. Darren says, how many trauma interviews are going to come out of Venice this week? I love it. I'm sure several. I'm sure we will definitely see several interviews from Jamie Lee Curtis this week on YouTube talking about trauma. By the way, you guys like the It's Me Billy hoodie? All the It's Me Billy hoodies have been sent out, by the way. So just to let you know, check your mailboxes. All the t-shirts have been sent out as well. Just last week. So if you haven't got it yet, don't worry. It just probably hasn't gotten to you yet. All depends on where you are around the world and the border and all that kind of shit. So, but this is what it looks like. Pretty snazzy. It's pretty snazzy. And the Blu-rays are being created as we speak. So that's really exciting. I've been busy the last couple of weeks. It's been insane. Let me see. Bobby Hall says, Dave, how are you able to see Judson Foster's release? I would love to see it. Oh, well, I was given a private link from, I forget the gentleman's name now, but he works, I don't know if he works at or he's directly affiliated with the USC archives, and he got in touch with me and he said, I can send you, but I wasn't allowed to share it because it's not out in the public yet. It's not out in the public. And he sent me it was like an hour long, but it was like everybody's short film, Carpenter's short film, which you can see on YouTube for free. That one I'm sure you've seen, but that was in it. And there was a bunch of others as well. And Foster's release was one. And so I watched it. But I was not able to share it or anything like that. But it was good. It was good. It was wasn't that long? 10 minutes? 15 minutes? 20 minutes? Wasn't that long. Somewhere in there. And it was really good. It was, you definitely could see and this was one of the first movies, even though it was a USC short film that has really never seen the light of day. It was a student film, essentially. It was one of, if not the first movie to introduce the urban legend. We think it's Black Christmas, and for all intents and purposes, it is, but you could trace that back to Foster's release. A student film that even John Carpenter had a bit of a say in. He didn't direct it, but he had a bit of a say in it. He helped, he had some ideas. But that wasn't his film though. But yeah, that utilizes that urban legend. I mean, it's dated, it's a student film, but you could definitely see through some of the camera work, through some of the movement, through some of the choices they made, you definitely could see the inspiration for When a Stranger Calls, for sure. A little bit of Black Christmas, but not as much. But definitely you could see a little bit of that inspiration for When a Stranger Calls, for sure. So it was good. But yeah, no, I wasn't allowed to share it. It was given to me sort of privately. I have the guy's name, but I forget his name now. I wanted to get him on the channel here to interview him and talk to him. And he said that'd be great, but then I never heard from him again. So I don't know if he just got cold feet or just said, fuck it, I don't want to do this. Maybe he checked out my channel and was like, no. It's entirely possible, folks. Who knows? The invitation still stands, though, if you want to come on. Michael Thorne sends in $5. Thank you, Michael. Says, do you think the companies that create trailers should be put in check for the amount of footage they show, especially for horror films? Well, I mean, it's not just the trailer houses that do this, right? I mean, it's the studios as well. And there are some studios, like trailer houses will, first of all, and some of again, there's a lot of variables. I know I say that a lot, but it's just because a lot of people lack nuance. I'm not picking anybody out personally. I'm just saying that, things are generally not black and white, right? So, usually, depending on the movie, different trailer houses will compete for their trailer to be the one that is put out. And the studios will often have notes, that we want, it's got to be like this. Here's the vibe we're going for. Here's what we want. Sometimes the notes are a lot, sometimes it's not. But trailer houses will, of course, add their own sort of creativity to it, add their own spin to it, their own identity. But it's the studio that will say yay or nay. Will say, yes, this is the trailer we choose to be the one that we put out. So, and Universal is notorious for showing a lot in their trailers, but it's not because they want to spoil it for you. It's like what Jason Blum said a couple of years ago, where he said, we're competing with streaming services now. Like, you might not think of this, but we're competing with streaming services now. And they've done, I don't know, for lack of a better word, tests, not formal tests, but I mean, they've looked at the data, right? The data. They've looked at the evidence, and ironically, people, generally speaking, audiences tend to go watch movies that show more in their trailers. That doesn't mean that you like it or I like it, but generally that's sort of what is kind of showing, what is showing, right? At least that's what they notice maybe with horror movies or whatever, right? I'd have to read the article again and I'd have to dive back into it, but it was a fascinating sort of think piece on this whole thing, because they're very aware. Blum is very aware that a lot of these, trailers show a lot. It's not up to David Gordon Green. It's not up to that's unfortunately what happens when you work for the studio system, is that generally speaking, it's not up to you. You know what I mean? I mean, if you're Martin Scorsese or Steven Spielberg, you might get a say, but if you're David Gordon Green or Dave McRae, you're not going to give a fucking say. It's going to be how your film is marketed or what the poster looks like. I mean, you can fight for it. You could, try to put your say in there and, give some advice. And I really think we should do this because of this. But at the end of the day, it's not up to you. But that's show business working at that level. So, I would say that it's they're following a formula. They're following a formula of what they believe is going to get asses in the seats, and the trailer houses have a direction that is sort of, that they want to go with, or that they are keeping in mind. They add their own, and like I said, sometimes there's 2 or 3 trailer houses that are competing. I mean, it's, but at the end of the day, it's Universal's call, and they will say, we like that trailer. That's going to get asses in the seats, much to the chagrin of David Gordon Green, maybe going, yeah, but why did you, no, but don't show that. Yeah, but it's going to get asses in the seats, man. And it's like, all right, so, yeah, I mean, to your point, like, I mean, I get your question, should they kind of put it in check, but they would only put it in check if there was evidence that by putting it in check, it would not deter people going to the theater. Now, again, for you, right, because you have to understand, and again, I'm speaking generally, trailers are not cut for, like, the Halloween Kills trailer is not for you. It's not for me. It's not for the diehard Halloween fanatic that was going to be there anyway, right? Just the announcement of a Halloween sequel, you're there. How many times do you hear fans saying, I don't even need to see a trailer. I don't want to see a trailer at all. I don't even need to. Of course. They're not for you. It's for the general movie-going audience that may be on the fence, that maybe don't even know about it. As crazy as it sounds, folks, as crazy as it sounds, there are people out there that have no idea this movie's coming. That maybe want to see it, that maybe want to check it out. They want to get not the horror fans at Halloween time. They want to get all those casual fans that just get excited for horror because it's Halloween time. You're excited for horror every fucking day of the year. You're excited for horror all the time. Jesus Christ, we're talking horror January, February, March, April, May. It doesn't matter what month it is. Those trailers are not for you. I mean, yes, is it a byproduct that we get just as excited by? Sure, it's going to excite us, absolutely, and they know that. They know it's going to excite us. But at the end of the day, they already know we're going to be there. They already know they have our $10, right? So they show, and there's been studies, if you will, on this. And that's why you see a lot of stuff that doesn't matter to you, but may matter to the person that doesn't even know it's coming. You know, why should I go see this movie? Why do I need to go see now I know why. You know what I mean? And that's, I mean, I'm explaining this in a really sort of Cliff Notes theatrical way, but that's kind of the general idea of it. You know what I mean? So, but I'm with you. I mean, as a huge fan, I don't need to see anymore. But, you know, I mean, it's really not for us. Okay, super chat comes in from Scott Mariano. Thank you, buddy. Maria, yeah, I think I'm saying that right. I don't have my glasses, so I think I'm seeing that right. $4.99. Dave, I read Culkin's father wouldn't allow him to do Home Alone 2 if he didn't do The Good Son. Yeah, that's true. I don't know how. Yes, that is true. That is true. That they wanted Culkin for Home Alone 2. Yeah, I'm hazy. Yeah, you are correct. There is some Home Alone 2 Good Son thing in there, and I believe that is it. That is it. But Culkin's parents were fucking idiots. Britney Spears' parents are morons. You know, sadly, there's a lot of that. A lot of that. Yeah. And then, of course, you tack on the abuse in Hollywood, you know, whether it's pedophilia or whatever. And again, that doesn't mean every child actor experiences it. It doesn't mean every child actor is targeted. You know, again, right? It doesn't mean that it's like running rampant all over the place, but it does exist, you know? So you tack that onto it. I mean, it can be a very dangerous place for kids. If you don't have really good parents that care about you and not your fucking paycheck. Yeah, the paycheck's nice. That's great. You as a parent benefit from that. I get it. But it's your fucking kid, man. Come on. Diamond Rattler sends another $5. Thank you, Diamond. Says, they say Halloween Ends is a more closed-in film, though, and that it takes place a few years later. How can Michael be here in a few years? Well, I guess you'll have to wait and see. Won't you? You will have to wait and see. All right, did I miss any? Hang on, I don't think I did. Let me just go back over here. Did I miss any? I don't believe I missed any super chats. All right, what's the time here? What do we got? We got a little bit more time. A little bit more time with you fine, sexy folks. You fine, sexy people. Neo Rook says, recently recorded my first voiceover radio spot. Amazing. But listening to it back, I feel I can do better. I think the issue is that I wasn't familiar with the product. Any advice on how to be more genuine? Well, I don't know. Listen, being conversational in a spot is difficult because you have to read the words as if you are the one thinking them, right? As if you're not reading. Do you know what I mean? One of the things you can, as unsexy as this sounds, it takes a lot of practice, and it takes talent. And to be able to understand the nuances of a script, to be able to hone in onto the important elements of a script, to know how to take direction, all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that you can practice, maybe to help get yourself into the spot, is something called a lead-in line. And that is something that you say that isn't on the page to help yourself get into character. Rather than starting cold on the first word, say something before that. Say like, hey, Bob, come here. I want to talk to you about something. And then start into the script. Do you know what I mean? I sometimes do that for auditions as well. Now, you have to remember to remove that. You don't send that to your agent. But sometimes, depending on the script or the character, sometimes I do that to help myself kind of get a running start, if you will. But learning how to be conversational is, again, I say this, if you're starting out in voiceover, voiceover is acting. It's called voice acting for a reason. That doesn't mean that, again, there are certain voiceover genres where you are acting and performing a character more than others, like animation and cartoons. But as I always say, you are always playing some sort of fictional version of yourself, whether you're the dad on a radio spot or a creature in a cartoon. Take an acting class. Learn acting. It will help you in voiceover big time. Huge. I know that might seem like, but why would I take an acting class when I'm doing voiceover? Because it's voice acting. You're just acting behind a microphone. And sometimes you have to be, the nuances and idiosyncrasies of the art of acting becomes even more apparent than being on camera when you're behind the microphone, because nobody can see you. So all those subtle nuances in body language has to come through your vocal performance as well. Do you know what I mean? It's a real art, and it takes a long time. But how you can be more natural is study acting, try a lead-in line, and record yourself. Don't be afraid to record yourself reading practice scripts. You can get scripts for free online, I'm pretty sure. Just practice shit. Record yourself. Get to know your voice. There are a lot of people that don't like the sound of their own voice because they've never really heard the sound of their own voice objectively before. How many of you, have you hear your voice on your own voicemail, or if you're old enough to, record yourself on a cassette tape or whatever, and you would hear yourself and you're like, oh my God, that's the way I sound? It's not that you sound awful. It's just that you're not used to hearing your own voice objectively. So the more that you hear your own voice objectively by practicing and recording and listening back, the more familiar you will be with your voice, and the more that you'll know what you can and cannot do with your voice. Play around with your voice, play with, in different reads. Get comfortable in your voice. You've got to know it. Now, voiceover is not about your voice. It's about how good of an actor you are, right? But knowing your voice objectively will help in your confidence in that. But this is acting. We are voice actors. There's a saying that there are no good voices or bad voices. There are just good actors and bad actors. And there's a level of truth to that. So, but keep it up, man. Keep it up. Keep plugging through, man. Let me see here. A couple of super chats came in. We got The Dark Knight sends in $5, says, if David Gordon Green is making a new Exorcist, it really sounds like The Conjuring Part 9 or Annabelle Part 10. Do you think he can make it scarier than H18? Well, here's my issue with The Exorcist, this new announcement. And I really should do a show on it, a sole show on it, or its own show on it, I should say. And maybe I will, is how are they going to make it different than any other demonic exorcist movie we've seen over the last 20 years, especially the last 15 years. The Exorcist was revolutionary for its time because it was one of those movies where nobody had seen anything like it. We had never seen anything like this before. It was shocking. Now, is it shocking if you're 25 years old and you watch it for the first time today, is it shocking to you? No, because you've seen every other I get it. You have to watch older movies within their context. You know what I mean? Whether it's Psycho or Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist or what have you, you have to watch them within their context, and remember that nobody had seen anything like this before. That's crazy. Imagine 1973 going, you know what I'm saying? It was a different world. It was a very different world, Now more people are skeptical of religion and they question things, and religion is not what it was 45, almost 50 years ago. Now, we have more information and people are more skeptical and people are questioning things. Back then, my God, it was shocking. People were walking out. They were walking out of the movie theater. Can you imagine, even if you're a Christian today, depending on the level of, listen, I know there's degrees, right? But I mean, people were walking out. It was a very, very different time. So the point I'm making is that we are desensitized to all these demonic exorcist movies. So how is this going to be? Like, The Exorcist is the granddaddy of exorcism demonic horror movies, right? It's the granddaddy, right? It's the one that started it all for all intents and purposes. Okay, I know I'm just saying, right? It was a pop culture. It's a pop culture icon. How do you follow that up? Where it doesn't just feel like I'm just watching another modern day Conjuring, like you just said. Now, I love the first Conjuring film. I think it's one of the best studio Hollywood horror movies of the last 20 years. Because there's a lot of things that I love in that movie. You got that slow burn, and then you got that payoff. But how do you do that? How do you make, like, this is the fucking Exorcist? There's an argument to be made that following up The Exorcist, now maybe this sounds crazy and it's an overused cliche, but is it unrealistic for me to expect, to even have an inkling of an expectation that I would expect that a sequel to The Exorcist should be one of the scariest movies of all time? Like, I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Do we actually think it's going to be? Or are we too desensitized? Or is it just going to be the same formula? Are we just going to watch the same shit? There's more to the original Exorcist than just green puke and my mother sucks cocks in hell. Like, all that stuff is crazy, and the flopping on the bed and all that's great. But there's a character story there as well. There's real emotion and real character development. Like, yeah, Jaws is about a shark. I get the bum, 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 bum. Oh, yeah, all that's great. But the development between these three leads is equally just as, if not more important than the fucking shark in the water. It's not just about somebody being possessed. There's more to it than that. It's a real horror drama. There's drama to it. And you need that if you're really saying, we're going to fucking do a legit exorcism. Are you going to? Now, I would have to think that David Gordon Green and Scott Teems and whoever is helping him write this, they've already written, I think, a first draft, or maybe it's done. I would think that they know exactly what I think they do. Hey, we're not just making an exorcist movie or a movie about, demonic possession. I mean, this isn't The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I love, by the way, but this isn't just another exorcism, another exorcism movie, one we've seen 40,000 times. This is The Exorcist. There's a certain level, there's a very different expectation that should come with that. So, I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. But that's how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. So, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. Diamond Rattler sends in $5, says, so what is your theory on if Michael is here after the night of 2018? Well, I don't have a theory at the moment. I have no idea. I haven't thought much about it. When I get a theory, I will let you know. Sorry, no, I don't. I'm not sure. There's a number of different ways they can do it. And I got to be very careful about what I say because I don't want to give you any spoilers. But I can certainly say that, I am just as intrigued if the film takes place 3 or 4 years later. I'm just as intrigued as you on how they're going to make that make sense. Let's put it that way. Thank you for the super chat, though. I appreciate it. Nerd Report, my man. Nerd Report says, Dave, I have one word for you. Malignant. Have you seen Malignant? Dude, I want to see Malignant. I haven't seen it yet. Nerd. Lewis, my man. I've talked about Malignant on this channel before, and I'm excited to see it. I'm a James Wan fan. I really appreciate his horror sensibilities. I think he's one of the better horror directors today. Studio level, sort of Hollywood polished horror director. I wasn't crazy on the first trailer for Malignant, I'll be honest with you. But I want to see it because it's James Wan. And I'm hoping that we get more than just, yes, I've seen it. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. That's amazing, dude. That's amazing. Well, I want to see it because I'm a big James Wan fan. And I've enjoyed, like when I say I'm a big fan, I've enjoyed the first installments of the 3 franchises he's essentially spawned. Saw, loved the first Conjuring. I like part 2 as well, but not as much as the first one. And I love the first Insidious. I liked part 2 as well, but not as much as the first one. And though, he's responsible for starting 3 epic franchises. So I'm really excited to see Malignant. I want to see it for sure. But that first trailer I saw, I was like, I don't know. It looked a little like a bit, some things that I saw that were a little like, these are kind of run of the mill, just some things. But I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to see this movie because it's James Wan. So I'm excited to see it. I definitely want to see it. You lucky son of a bitch. But living where you live and doing what you do, it is no surprise. It is no surprise. Amazing, my man. By the way, if you guys are not following the Nerd Report, you got to follow the Nerd Report. Lewis is an amazing dude, and he does some great shit over there. I'm not just saying that. Like, if I didn't think somebody did great shit, I just wouldn't say anything. I wouldn't do that. Lewis does some great stuff. And Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. They are just over 300 subs right now. If you have not subscribed to the Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast, which is hosted by my great moderators, Frank Riker and Darren Sands, you've got to subscribe to them. They do all sorts of like top 10 shit and this and it's fun shit. They're awesome shit. So make sure you check it out. If either of you are watching, feel free to throw the link into the chat as well. Let's see. They've just passed 300. I think they're at like 310 subs or something. Let's see if we can get them to 400 by the end of September. That'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. All right, let's go another 4 or 5 minutes or so. Another 5 minutes. We'll take this thing to 90 minutes today. Did I get everything? I think I got everything. I think I got all the super chats, if I'm not mistaken. All right. Scrolling down. Yeah, there it is. There it is. The Slaughtered Lamb Movie Podcast. It's good shit, man. I love your little, how do you call them? The little episodes that you put up. But I know it's not live because both of you are in the daylight. And I know it's pre-recorded because I'm like, Darren would be sleeping right now. It's good shit, though. I love watching it. It's great stuff. Jacob Fitzsimmons says, I sent you something on Instagram that I think you would find interesting. Cool. All right. Well, I'll have to, as you can imagine, I get a lot of DMs and a lot of messages. So it's always hard for me to, always keep in mind, if you reach out to me on my Facebook page, Many Things Dave McRae, which is right there, or my Instagram or my Twitter. Just be mindful that I get a lot of DMs and a lot of messages. If I don't get back to you, it's never personal. I don't know you. I mean, it's not personal. I'm not ignoring you because I think you're a piece of crap or something. I don't know you. But it's just because I get a lot and it's not possible for me to respond to everybody. But to improve your chances of me responding, always try to keep it short. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Dave, what's going on? Love your shit, or, whatever, right? Like, always try to keep it short, but try to refrain from sending me like a long, and I'm not saying you did, I just mean like in general to people out there, try not to send me like a long kind of, I can't, and I'm sure you understand. Like, I don't have time to read it and then, rebuttal an equally in-depth response. I just don't. It's not personal. It's not personal. I skipped 3 super chats. Did I really? Okay, let's go back and see here. Got the Nerd Report. You're right. You're right. Here's some here. Michael Thorne sends in $5, says, gotta go, Dave. Been watching you since you're from the booth. Amazing series. Believe it or not. Thanks for being you. Thank you, Michael. Wow, that's going back like 6 or 7 years ago. That's like 2014 shit. Holy cow. Thank you, buddy. Neil Rook sends in £5, says, I'm a trained actor like yourself, bud. I've been on stage and in films before, but this is my first time doing voiceover work. It's really different. It is very different. But you know what? Don't be afraid to brush up on your training, right? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes if you're not constantly massaging that muscle, you may have to step into an acting class or an improv class. Like, I don't say those things in a condescending way. I say those things because, sometimes if we've been out of the game for a while, or if we're making a transition into a different part of the business, sometimes we need to brush up on certain things, right? If I was going to make the leap, like at this point, into on-camera acting, in like say I booked like a major role, right? Like a full-on, like I'm like, co-starring Dave McRae shit, right? Even though I have an acting diploma and I'm trained in on-camera as well, I haven't done it in a long time at that level. So I might think to myself, you know what, I might want to brush up on a couple of things and maybe get a bit of an acting coach, just kind of go over some things and massage that muscle bit, to make sure that I'm okay, right? And, for people who are trained, it doesn't take long, right? You get back into it and you're like, or take an improv class or whatever, right? It's always important that we never see ourselves as we know everything. We know, I don't need to train. I don't need to do it. I just need to, whatever it is, right? But certainly do not take a voiceover class. I think a voiceover class would help for sure. And understand the world and the business of voiceover and how to hone in on those important elements of a script. But if you're a trained actor, then you should be able to pick up on it fairly quickly. It's very different, but just remember that you're acting. You are acting, and acting is reacting, as they say in a lot of cases, which is the truth. But just try to hone into those acting skills that you have, and kind of remember that and try to bring those things to the microphone. But that's cool, man. That's cool. I wish you the best of luck, dude. That's awesome. Let's see. Kings Hockey. Kings Hockey, I guess. Hockey is kind of spelled kind of funny. Very cool. $5 says, hey, Dave, I'm a huge Stephen King fan and I'm super excited about the Duffer Brothers making The Talesman. Great book into a Netflix series. Any thoughts? I did not know that. I am not a big reader. I do like Stephen King, of course. I have not read The Talesman, so I would have to go and look at what The Talesman is all about and see whether or not that gets me excited for a potential series. That's pretty cool, though, to say the least. Very cool indeed. Thank you very much. And then I did get the Nerd Report super chat. I don't think there were any others that came to me. I don't think so anyway. Darren Sand says, thanks for the support, buddy. You've helped us on the chat. Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, listen, you guys genuinely are a lot of fun to watch. That doesn't mean that everybody that goes over to check you out is maybe going to agree. It's going to agree with me, but I wouldn't say. I'm not saying it because you're my moderators. I'm saying it because I think that you guys got great chemistry, as I say, and you guys pick topics that I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. That's really fun. Damn it, right? And I enjoy watching you guys kibitz back and forth. So, and I think other people on this channel would appreciate. I think movie fans would love checking you guys out and seeing your channel grow. And if we can get you guys to 400 subs by the end of September. And I think that's realistic. I don't think that's impossible. Maybe 500 subs by the end of the year, maybe? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe even more. It'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun to get you guys to 1,000 subs, because then, you can get, you can monetize the channel. Not that I'm not saying you're doing it for that, but it opens up kind of more fun doors, right? Like super chats and all that kind of stuff. And which can be a lot of fun too. And that obviously helps the channel and all that kind of stuff. So I'm rooting for you guys. I think it'll be great. I think it's going to be great to watch you guys grow. Let's see here. Okay, we'll go another. One more minute. One more minute to go, and then I got to skedaddle. So let's see. Evil Alex says, Dave, I'm just curious why you read the full script of Halloween Kills as a Halloween fan. Didn't you want to be surprised, or didn't you care anymore after H18? Well, it's because it's just the kind of person I am. You know, there are levels to this. Right, Alex? Like there are people that would not be able to read the script because then they would know everything and that would diminish their ability to enjoy the product going into it. I'm not that kind of person. Now, I don't know why, you know, in terms of like, I haven't thought about it consciously, really. It could be a number of reasons. It could be that I'm a filmmaker. And that doesn't mean that if you are one that you can do, I'm not saying that that is the benchmark of whether you can do this or not. I'm just saying maybe it's because I am, and I look at things through a bit of a different lens. So I can read a script and know what's going to happen, but still enjoy the journey of watching what I read unfold on screen, right? There are people that can do that, but then there are people that are not filmmakers that can do that, right? Maybe it's how I grew up. Maybe it's, you know, certain things that I had in my life that I just was really into. I don't know. All I know is that I know I can read a script about a movie I haven't seen yet and still enjoy the journey of watching things unfold on screen. But I'm not the only one, because I think Bruce can do that too. Now, I don't want to speak for him, but we've kind of had that talk, and he said similar things to me where he's like, oh yeah, no, I can kind of know what's going to happen and still enjoy but it, you know, different strokes for different folks, right? It's a spectrum. There are people that cannot know anything and feel that and don't understand and think, yeah, but doesn't that ruin it for you? No, but I don't understand. It must ruin it for you. It doesn't. It doesn't. You know what I mean? It's just different. You know what I mean? So, but if you're somebody that cannot do that, well, then I respect that. And you have to sort of be mindful of that for yourself. But there are people, and there's a number of reasons for it. I'm sure that can read certain things and still watch it unfold and have a great time. That doesn't mean that I am immune to spoilers. It just means that my threshold of what a spoiler is just different. That's all. All right, folks, listen, that's going to do it for me here on this Sunday AMA surprise. Hey, two AMAs in a row, 2 Q&As in a row, essentially. Well, I guess this really wasn't an AMA per se. It was, well, kind of, but I did have a topic for this one. It was kind of like an unofficial McRae Live. I know I'm sitting at 199 episodes of McRae Live. I have to do the 200th episode. It's coming. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, but it's coming. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your continued support to the channel. And remember what I said about spoilers. If you want to avoid spoilers, you know what you got to do. And if you're just tuning in and you want to know what that is, well, go back and watch the opening of this show, and then you'll find out what that is. You guys are amazing. Thank you to my moderators, Darren Sands, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, and Chris Baber. You guys are awesome, but you know that. Don't forget to check out Nerd Report and The Slaughtered Lamb. I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed. That'll do it for me. Have a great rest of your Labor Day weekend. Tomorrow's a holiday. It's Holiday Monday. At least it is here. It's there too, right? In the States. It's Labor Day. Tomorrow's a day that all women all over the world go into labor. I'm just kidding. Have a great Have a great rest of your Sunday and a great rest of your long weekend. And I will talk to you guys and gals soon. All righty. Cheers.